Peace. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your girl, Bri. When will this ever end? When will we be free? Welcome to Bri Jects.
How that make you feel when you hear a judge say she gon' give out $1 million or more? Retire from the bed, sleeping peaceful at night while my people in prison sleep under the floor. Probation, parole, that's a whole trap. I had to fly straight, I couldn't go back. And if I change, you can change too. All that ignorant shit is a whole rap. Good morning, America.
For today, I am so excited. And I'll have to tell you guys the story about how I ended up meeting him. It was the strangest thing. Because we know that I am Jamaican and I have 10 jobs, right? So one of my jobs, I went to, I have a teeth whitening business, Celebrity Smiles. If you know me, you will know that I will get to the bag one way or the other. So I ended up going to, I went to go and whiten a client of mine, his teeth. And I'll have to tell you guys about that story. That one was pretty funny as well. And we were there, and when I walked through the door, I heard Free Them All on the phone. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because in my other job, because we know I have 10 of them, I am an activist. And I heard it, and it was like music to my ears. But then I didn't want to ask too much because I think I asked 2 questions by that point already, because I always want to know who I'm surrounded by. And I said, you know what? The 3rd question, he's saying free them all. He might think I'm the police. Let me just mind my business. So I made the greatest attempt to mind my business and was about to do my client's teeth. And then he says, do you guys know each other? I'm like, well, you know, we got acquainted, you know, like we got acquainted. I wouldn't necessarily say that we know each other, but he was like, tell her who you are. So I'm going to do you like he did me. Come on and tell everybody who you are.
First and foremost, I'm honored and humbled to be online with you with this podcast. I'm Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., the son of Chairman Fred Hampton, and also of Akua and Jerry, formerly known as Deborah Johnson. I'm the international chairman of the Black Panther Party Cubs. I'm a servant of the people. And what's that old commercial say? Not just I'm also a client. So I just I was
not the president.
not the president, just the client. Also a client. So I was it was interesting. The whole teeth white now. That was my first time even seeing even this client for you to come to the client and then you informed me about that. And then as you said, really I noticed while I was actually doing the interview. On the heels of the decision in regards to the Jacob Blake case in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I was on there with Jacob Blake's uncle, Justin Blake. And we were doing an interview in Philadelphia, and you came and you heard the interview. And I did notice that you when I said free them all, it kind of caught your attention, but I can relate to what you said. Like you don't want to, ask too many questions. You know what I'm saying? Because in this line of work,
yes.
In this line of work, it does cause we have to have our guards up. But again, then once you gave a little bit your background and bio, again, I'm honored as well to have met you also. So I'm honored as well.
Yes. So. First of all, I know that I probably said it a million times. This is probably has made my life, because it's funny. It doesn't matter what it is that I do. That movement comes to me. I could be literally like painting a picture. Movement will come to me. Like it's something that is so a part of me. It is in every fabric of my being. So it was. I think teeth whitening is not the field that I thought that movement was going to come to me. But if need be, like my fist will roll and go in the air because, yes, for most of, for the world who may not know, I am an advocate, right? I'm an activist. I believe in the liberation of our people in our lifetime. Like I want it for my children. I want it for my children's children. But I most definitely want to see it for myself. Like, I have to have some practice in being free so I can teach another human being how to be free. So, speaking of freedom, I wanted to get your take on the events at the Capitol that transpired very recently as of yesterday, and on the heel of Mr. Blake and his execution. What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you feel?
If I can, I'm just touch on something that you mentioned prior in regards to like the context in which we met. I think it's important that that we seize the time and like shake the confines of how people view struggle, how people view the movement. This quote unquote conscious clique, or the conventional definitions. You know what I'm saying? Well, this is the wait till February comes around. We talk about these issues. Wait till an election comes around, or you know what I'm saying, or the ruling class tells us, okay, now you can have this discussion. We and our people cannot afford the luxury, you know what I'm saying, to be held by those confines. We just think that we talk about the differences between a war and a revolution. A war is when you have two occupying armies, when they suit up and boot up and do what they do.
Right.
A revolution, when you gain the mass and participation of the masses of the people. This conversation should permeate through the barber shops, the pool halls, the clubs, the poetry sets. When you come to someone's home to do a haircut or teeth whitening or whatever the case may be,
right.
And it's a way of life, and it should not be taken as this preachy or dogma or elitism that like you're beating people over the head, but it should be interwoven, interlaced. You know what I'm saying? Our jargon, our sports, everything is we even when we gain some victories. We can, you know what I'm saying, even when the movement may appear to be dormant in some locations or some periods of time, it should not, be put, put away. We come to deal with this, as many cases, we see a lot of people deal with the struggle or the movement in a reactionary sense. When something comes down on an individual in particular, but also even the Jacob Blake case. Something that family members of Jacob Blake, who was shot 7 times in Kenosha, Wisconsin, something that he said the early morning we did an interview, and he had said, they was talking about the interviewer was asking, how are you familiar with Chairman Fred Hampton, the Black Panther Party Cubs? And he gave some background of the work that we had been doing prior to this, prior to his nephew being shot. You know what I'm saying? The food giveaways, exactly. The Triple C program, the Black Panther Party Cubs have, the Children Community Clubs, which is done the spirit of Black Panther Party free breakfast program. And a lot of people say, well, I didn't know about this. And that's a lot of time, that's a bourgeoisie or a petty bourgeoisie. It's an arrogance. A lot of people feel that because they don't know about it, this stuff is not happening. It's like the old axiom that says, if you don't hear a tree fall in the forest, if it doesn't make a sound, there's a tree falling. I know I'm kind of mixing the words up, but a lot of people say, well, if I didn't hear it, the tree hasn't fallen. But the deal is, movements are happening, organizing is happening. And a lot of times people wait for the system to say, okay, now you can have that discussion. They wait to become a safe subject, or they reference it, they relate to it in a reactionary way. This kind of goes into the question at hand. There's discussions going around now about, what happened yesterday at the Capitol. What's wrong with America, so on and so forth. And is Trump, what's his mental health status? Questions that, many people have been raised about, just even prior to this recently, how he has been on intense speed on the executions on death row, killing people,
Exactly.
and like he's playing a video game. But this is a contradiction that's consistent, because it's like similar to that, of Nazi Germany, Führer, Adolf Hitler.
Right.
When him and the likes of Mussolini and others, when they were engaged in attacks on African people under the euphemisms of such terms as the Africa Corps, it was not, it was not considered a reference as a world crime. When the atrocities occurred to white people, to the white community, that's when you're seeing these terms, like even genocide, even becoming a word.
Right.
After this,
exactly.
And so now these, and this is, it's kind of like the comedic genius Richard Pryor had commented. A lot of times the white community can ride through the black community, and I just took a laugh. I just thought about in fact that time we pulled a Richard Pryor piece up.
I was gonna say you love some Richard Pryor. He was funny.
Richard Pryor, in that piece we pulled up, he had introduced Minister U.E.P. Newton to the Black Panther Party. He was heavily impacted by the Black Panther Party, and he had said a piece one time. And he had said something to the effect that not many times the white community can ride through the Black community, and the individuals can be out there with dope drug residue around their nostrils, needles literally stuck in their arm.
Right.
And the white community say, "Oh, that's a shame." And they'll come home to their home, and their son or daughter have a can of Budweiser beer, and they say, "Oh my God, we have this is an epidemic."
Right.
So now, this whole energy, this discussion now, we'll take it, but however, similar to opposition, similar to the Black Panther Party Cubs opposition, and we post September 11, 2001. We had authored the African Anti-Terrorism Bill, which addresses the terrorism of the Black community, who addressed the terrorism from the perspective of what we refer to as not the OGs, but the OVs, the original victims of terrorism.
Right.
People, so this dynamic, this is a stage where the emperor has no clothes on. This is a stage where, as Malcolm X said, nothing. Malcolm X said the chicken's coming home to roost. So I say that seize the time. But I think we should also come with a confidence to say these and not to say this is not a new contradictions, and this though Trump is a reactionary, this is not a reactionary result. This is a process ongoing. You know what I'm saying? Again, prior to this, just even acknowledge just how what has been happening on death row in federal state prisons alone. People now you hear all these different politicians, representatives, Nancy Pelosi said we have to call for immediate impeachment right now. We have to move now. You know what I'm saying? So because you see it has really come up into the capital of D.C. and it's a saying that they had in Nazi Germany. They say initially they came for those who the gypsies, and then it came for the homeless people, those who have mental health issues. You know what I'm saying? By the time they came for a certain populace, there was nobody else to protect them. And in many cases, people they sit back and say, "Well, that's them. That's that certain populace of the community." But the deal is a system, a parasitical system, a parasitical politic is never satisfied. You can, what I'm saying? Again, Malcolm X said this is a system that you can lay down for it and say, okay, am I all right now? Have I done enough? And no, it will say no. You know what I'm saying? It's turnover. I need more. And that's the nature of the system.
And that's exactly why I decided to do this podcast, right? Like, we did it, now what? And I start off the podcast by saying, when will my sentence end? When will it end, right? Because it's never enough. It's like if they cut you and they bleed you out in one arm, you have to switch and give them blood on the other arm. Meanwhile, people are scaling the White House.
Yes.
I served 10 years, and people are scaling the White House.
Yes.
And they're being escorted out. when we were being tear gassed down in Atlanta during the uprisings, and we had, we literally had bullets, like rubber bullets being shot at us, tear gas, like the force was so excessive, and it was just like, wow, what a contrast.
Yes.
Right? Like, what a stark contrast.
Yes.
Like, so to be protesting while Black, we know that is also a crime.
Yes.
Because now, so let's talk a little bit about the Panther Party, right? Like, and why they were labeled as domestic terrorists.
Yes.
But this militia, they're being called protesters.
Yes.
When they're destroying, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you yank down the American flag out of a state federal building, is that not treason?
We can look at every, the contrast, how Dylan Roof was treated, escorted, taking a Burger King, after, the shooting at the church, in so many occasions, they get us caught up with criminalizing us, asking us was something that we did wrong, or we found we like the contrast of the sentencing with usage of such laws as stand your ground with George Zimmerman,
right.
as opposed to the case, I can't recall the sister's name.
That shot in the air.
Yes.
And got time in prison.
Yes.
So for me, it seems like we get bullets and they get Burger King.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
So
yes, we do, and we have to, and not, you know what I'm saying, in many cases, they get us caught up in this excursion of futility, asking, well, what if we did this wrong, or what if we get more laws? And you know, the laws that they have in place now, you know, again, the laws are political, the media is political, how we deal with, and we have to come to grips with, you know, race is the #1 tool used by this system, and it, you know, and historically, and one of the, we say nothing, you know, it's terrible, but it's fine. One of the pros with this era of time, this climate, is the class piece being shaken, where you have the arrogance of a Trump, who, you know what I'm saying, they say terms like black identity extremists. They say, I mean, up front, as opposed to these terms, these euphemisms, post-racial society, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, like it does not exist. And these contradictions that are born and bred in the fabric of America. You know, I mean, what it was birthed off of. I mean, the slave trade, and that they keep on. It's the elephant in the room that many people keep on trying to push back. So we have to acknowledge it, you know what I'm saying, and deal with it, not get caught in this. What we refer to the sidetracking of the slave. What do we do wrong? Do we apply the law? You know, why do individuals get why do we get the disproportionate sentencing with the crack cocaine as opposed to the powder cocaine? It's this country, and in the world, look at the commentaries that are coming from throughout the world. You know, places where America has, you know, had the audacity, the arrogance to walk up in places like Cuba, and as they have political prisoners, how they treat those. This as Malcolm X said, America's democracy is an hypocrisy. It's a facade.
Right.
It's so Machiavellian, and we have to seize the time with these. Again, those images. I mean, one black police was running from these white protests. I mean, they get video of him in the Capitol running away from the white individuals. You know, as they would refer to domestic terrorists, walking up in there, chasing him, and knowing if this same police was in the community, he would not hesitate to shoot everybody in there. You know what I'm saying? But the politics of it is again, it's the humanizing. They humanize. I mean, this community. I mean, in every term, whether from the mafioso to the drugs. I mean, our community is referred to as dope fiends.
Right. Everybody else, they're used drugs.
You have the opiate problem. Now you have the law enforcement are armed with these of a person overdoses. Law enforcement have been trained to help bring them back. You know what I'm saying? It's seen as a medical issue now. People who overdose, as opposed to our community, you know, it's a blanket attack. You know what I'm saying? With dope fiends, crackheads, exactly.
Yeah. Like Clarence Thomas and other. I call them. Well, never mind. I probably can't say that on the air and get any turnaround. But I have a special name for people like him, and like who calls our women, you know, crack whores and all of those things, and welfare whores. But you know, like I think Michelle Alexander really started to help wake up America, though I did wish she just dove deeper. But I think, like in the preface of her book, she did say that she's not going to touch on everything. But you know, I really, really, really think that the media has played such a major effect in how we see ourselves and how other people see us. See, when children come out the womb, they aren't racist. They aren't prejudiced. They don't know what's different until they're taught that, right? So to me, when I look at a Mitch McConnell, when I look at that as old America, like old America. Like how could you possibly, I mean, in just one term, in 4 years, they have dismantled democracy.
You know,
or the illusion of democracy.
Yes, the illusion. In Kansas City, I believe it was. what was the school board decision? Brown versus, I can't recall the exact case, cite the exact case, but even the children, I forgot what age they were. They, the children, and they as youth, they asked them what was the pretty doll, what was the ugly doll,
right?
And how they identified with the black doll as being an ugly doll. So this system is not. Even when we say it's not. It's interwoven. It's a natural. I mean, this the nature of this system. The race dynamic. Again, race is the self-hatred that it breeds into everything. I mean, from the maternity ward, from coming out. I mean, how we, just having a discussion with his brother. He's working on the film about me, and the assassination of my father, Chairman Fred, and he was talking about epigenetics and that the trauma is passed down. Talking about my mother being 8, she's we're talking about how she's 8.5 months pregnant. Many times I've often said how the first piece of steel I came into contact with before a doctor, I didn't have the prenatal care that I had was not a doctor's stethoscope. It was the Chicago Police Department's revolver placed on my mother's pregnant belly when she was 8.5 months pregnant. I'm impacted by that. And now you talk about it is not in a subjective way. Our people are impacted by before we even get here. And you know what I'm saying? So it's an arrogance that they have this whole psychoanalysis about Trump today on some radio show. And they talking about,
right.
Who he comes from, his history, the reinforcement of never, the privilege, So the dynamic of race it's not that simplistic or white people this way, black people this way. The policies, the terms, how the media, they even in movie making, you have this. I mean, it's when they make movies, if they reference, if they say a man, it's automatically given that that's a white man. If it's not you, that you have to go out your way to say no. We're talking about a black man. This is the politics of it. And we in China. It's more upfront about the policies of what type of propaganda is able to come in. This is the reality of acknowledging something as opposed to America. It's the facade of freedom. It's the facade of democracy.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? The deal is like Grogel, who was the minister of propaganda for Adolf Hitler. They acknowledged the whole dynamics about how much work they had to put in the movies and in fact, Jerry Springer had did a interview a week. Yeah, he did an interview with William Shatner, who's known for Captain Kirk in Star Trek. But Jerry Springer said that his grandmother was a victim in the gas chambers in Nazi Germany, and she had told him. She said, always be careful of how people make jokes about your people. You have to be real cautious. I said, this is ironic for Jerry Springer to be saying this. The humor is political. You know what I'm saying? And we have to acknowledge that everything, you know what I'm saying? Like even with the Black Panther Party, many people understand the significance of the Black Panther Party. Minister Huey, there was even internal struggles with the Black Panther Party. The Minister Huey P. Newton stated that we must even politicize the gun. What makes our gun different than the police gun? Everything on our uniforms, our clothing, it's political. So we have to, a lot of times people relate to that in a reactionary way. And again, these are reactionary times where you have people say, well, maybe I got pulled out of police because I didn't get an education. I wasn't a registered voter. You have a climate similar to that of the Nixon, the tenure of Richard Milhouse Nixon. We said, no. This is the race. The question of race is the number one, the top tool used by this system.
It is. You speak, and I wish I had all day and all night so I can talk, because this is the stuff that I love to talk about. This is what I geek on. I geek on liberation, freedom, and all of the things. But unfortunately, it's a podcast, right?
Yes. Yes.
But I do. Just before we go, I do want to. Ask you to tell us about the movie that you have coming out that's honoring our slave king, our true leader. Like, tell us a little bit about that, and where we can look to see it in theaters, and tell us about what you have going on in the as far as your premieres and so on. And
yes.
Yeah, we'd love to know.
Ironically, I just talked to a brother this day. We're going to be. Let me say this first. We're working on two major projects. We're working on. I've been involved in and working on one that was set to be released on big screen, but it's going to still be released on the big screen, as well as through, I think, they're working out now through some sort of thing with HBO. So it's kind of the coronavirus and everything, things are kind of up and up. We're looking at the February 12th release for a movie entitled Judas and the Black Messiah, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Dominique Fishback, Keith Stanfield, and a host of others. And there's a lot of struggles we had. We still dealing with some different struggles, but we're looking forward to the release date. In fact, I just talked to a brother working on doing something in Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah, we're working on that. So we want all over, internationally. Also, the pieces brother Kaba is working on the chairman. Again, which talks about me growing up, and different dynamics of my life, as well as my father and mother's life. But that's February 12th is the release date for Judas and the Black Messiah.
Okay.
So look forward to that. Also, the HamptonHouse.org, people can go check out the work that we are doing also to save the childhood home of Chairman Fred Hampton House. He grew up in. We turned it to a museum.
Right.
As you've seen, so that's some of the work that the Black Panther Party Cubs, the organization's carrying legacy of the Black Panther Party that we engaged in.
Yes, well, thank you. And please, everybody, make sure to go to say that website one more time.
The Hampton House, the HamptonHouse.org, HamptonHouse.org.
Okay, and make sure you guys look out for, what is the name of that movie? I want you to.
Judas and the Black Messiah, set to release February 12th.
Okay, so you heard it. Make sure you check out the website. Make sure you check them out on the big screen, or however it comes to your local area. And here in Atlanta, you already know your girl Bri will find her way, because we know I am the Jamaican woman with the 10.
We want you. You are hard. We want you. We want you involved with this, sis. Again, let me respect. I mean, just the short time of knowing you, sister, it is an honor. I look forward to working with you, sis. Your work ethic alone is something to be acknowledged. Yes.
Well, I thank you, and I thank you so much for just being here, and for doing the work, and for doing your labor to free the land. Right, like, so appreciative. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate you, King. And we know that you, your dad, every inch of his blood that America has taken, we will get ours in tenfold. So right. Free the land, free the land.
Yes,
hey,
yes,
say it
indeed.
one time for us. Free us all. Free them all. Free them all.
Free them all. Again, I appreciate you. I look forward to doing more work with the sisters. And in fact, we had this premiere. We want you on deck and involved. Yes, indeed.
Okay, perfect. And I will make sure. So I just wanted to acknowledge the gentleman whose music we are using for the soundtrack to this podcast. And it's called Good Morning America. And I just want you all to pay attention as you hear pieces of it, because it says so much. This brother was formerly incarcerated too. And we know that I did 10 years, and I will wear it as a war wound. And I will always acknowledge the fact that my life was snatched from me. And I will also similarly always mention that I watched a bunch of people scale the Capitol with no consequence. They snatch a Black woman's body from her community for 10 years. So I just always want to acknowledge that. And you know something, please make sure that you guys tune in, press the like button, share it, download. If you feel that you want to be a part of this movement, please feel free to Cash App me at Bri Jects. This is 100% funded by a Black body. So please, a formerly incarcerated body. And all of the proceeds, they go to one of our initiatives called Barred Business, where we help people who are returning home get on their feet. So here on the show, we will talk about everything. We didn't have enough time, because I was going to ask you about all types of stuff you was going to tell me to shut up about. But the next time, we're going to have you back when your week is over with. And then we're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about, did you know how to use a cell phone after coming home? And all of those things. So tune in. And please, again, it was my pleasure. And thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you. I look forward to coming back. Look forward to coming black with you. Right on.
Right. Peace.
Peace. It's pretty more.
Good morning, America. Look at the way that you handle us. Good morning, America. Talk about my people and son of us.